We are the nerds of the apocalypse.
Everyone's okay? You're super excited with the orange bandana. She's super, say it again? Yeah, she's super excited. Always.
Yes.
that's how understatement. I don't know if you know Dwight. I'm sorry. This is.
No, it's okay. We are literally the last panel of the day.
Oh, really?
Take your time.
We're gonna close this out with a bang. What time is the conference over? 5 o'clock. Okay.
4 o'clock instead of having in this room. I think we're having.
The children's cosplay is at 4 o'clock upstairs.
Okay, so that is the last event.
Mm-hmm.
That's the last event. All right, so we're second to last, but we can still do it all right. He's leaving. Where are you going, Miles? Where are you going? To the back now. You going back?
You should have went to the restroom before, like I did before you got here.
He drank a lot of water. Playing in a tournament can get you, pretty
dehydrated.
Yeah. Well, it's my job to embarrass me.
Yeah.
I do that well. Right, Mom? All the moms and dads out there, we're paid. We make a living out of embarrassing our children, right?
Payback for the toddler years when they are such a store.
Oh, yeah, exactly. It's a little payback.
So I'm not a father, but I have 2 little cousins. One is actually turning, I think, 14 on Tuesday, either 14 or 15, and the other one is about 10. The 10-year-old hugged on me, laid with me all the time, like, oh, I love you, Uncle Mikey. He's like, oh, that's great. Now it's like, get on my face. What happened?
Well,
is this something I did?
Well, it's a part of the circle of life. And once they they love up on you, they're always around. They want to be around you, between 1 to 5, 6, maybe 7. But something happens. Actually, the real turn is middle school. That's when it changes. It all changes, right? Doesn't it change? But you can tell she's, this young lady right in the front here. I've known her since she was a toddler. She was playful and happy, but now, though she's embarrassed, I was like, thanks for pointing out. That's the other thing, they get really embarrassed. I mean, they embarrass everything. If you look at them and go, hey, really loud, like, don't say that too loud. People might notice. I want them to notice.
I guess at a certain age they realize that we've been embarrassing this entire time, and at that age, oh, they really are embarrassing.
Well, back then it's funny.
Yeah.
They're younger. Now it's embarrassing. But they'll grow up. Like when they're in senior year of college.
Yeah.
When they realize they're about to graduate, they need to come back home for a year or so.
Mr. Powers said that famous people encourage their children to follow their footsteps, so they become famous. That's a lot of famous people are children.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, she was taking large notes.
What panel was that?
The first panel.
Yeah.
Chad Bowers and Jeremy Wood.
Oh.
Yeah, we were talking about writing earlier this morning.
Sure. Okay. We're talking about nothing really right now. We're all over the place. We've been life lessons today.
That's right.
How to
walk away from Soda City knowing how to be a better parent.
Exactly. It's all about parenting in this segment. What not to do.
But thank you guys so much for joining us. I'm Mike with Nerds of the Apocalypse, just a little entertainment group. I had to take podcast out because apparently we don't do podcasts anymore. We're just upstairs. We're moderating and recording all the panels. So if you guys have missed any panel that you want to see, be sure to get your information. I'm right upstairs, and it's youtube.com/Nerds of the Apocalypse. All the panels from today are going to be on there, including some interviews as well. I did Kevin Conroy this morning. I didn't freak out, I promise. But today's panel is starring none other than Chuck Brown and Sanford Greene, and we're going to be talking about what's next? Because they are off right now on the heels of the hot new comic, Bitter Root. And we have an amazing panel for that, so if you missed that, that will be on the YouTube as well. But let's go start with Chuck. Chuck, what is next?
I'm gonna go home, get something to eat. No. Oh, after.
Yeah, work related.
What? That's what next.
Well, I was getting there. You go home and write.
It's a build-up.
For those of you who don't know Bitterroot, we put out issues 1 through 5, and the first volume is out now, and we're currently working on issues 6 through 10 to get you to volume 2. Trying to make the best book we possibly can. I made a couple of trips to LA. Bitterroot was optioned by Legendary Pictures, and they're being very aggressive about trying to actually make this into a live-action film.
See, that was information I did not know last week.
No, we didn't talk about that. We didn't go into the how.
That's part of what's next. That's why we saved it
for
today.
For what's next. So
you guys are good.
Yeah. So normally they option the film, and sometimes it can be like 4 or 5 years or never. But the people at Legendary are like really aggressive. They're really excited about the project. They really care about the comics, and they want to try to actually make this thing, which is kind of cool. Also, I have my book out, The Quiet Kind, through Dark Horse Comics. It's basically about a group of kids, lost, bullied kids, to get all the power of reality. And the more their psyches unravel, the more the universe unravels. And really it's about, if you get this almighty power, what do you use to build it? My characters don't, other than they put a costume on and, say great power with great responsibility, they go out and kind of get revenge, and they're human and they make mistakes. So it's all about their journey of becoming a hero.
What's with the goat?
It's more of a spirit animal, like a young girl in the book.
Okay.
Which is a goat.
Yeah,
It's like a cool goat.
it's a demonic goat. No,
A glowing goat.
it's more the girl's spirit animal that she basically communicates with spiritual vibes. Basically helps her fight. His name is Raze.
What is he? R-A-Z.
R-A-Z-E.
Oh, yeah, he is here. Okay.
Yeah. But that's what's next for me. Just trying to write every day and put up the best stuff possible.
In Sanford, what Greene?
Well, like Chuck said, we had the pleasure of being at San Diego Comic-Con, which is like the Rose Bowl or the Super Bowl of comic conventions, if you've ever been. It's quite a spectacle, 200,000 people. Just imagine this thing with 200,000 people. That's pretty much what we experienced, and we got an incredible reception for our book, Bitter Root. We were nominated for an Eisner, which the Eisner Awards is like the Oscar Awards for comics and graphic novels. We got the nomination for Best New Series. We've only been out for 5 issues, and we already got on the radar of the industry on that level. So that was pretty special. So that's why, the main reason why we were there for the most part was to make that appearance out there. And during that time, we just got an incredible reception from every fan. We made new fans, tons of new fans with our property. We then went over to LA. Like Chuck said, Legendary Pictures. These are the guys responsible for Pacific Rim, the Godzilla trilogy, 4, 5, 6 movie. Pokemon. Yeah, for all you youngsters out there, young at heart, Pokemon just dropped. I think that's another pretty cool franchise they're about to start. They worked on the Batman trilogy, the one that with the Kevin Nolan. Yeah, so they were part of that as well. So they got a lot of hands in some pretty big budget films, and they really pursued Bitter Root they had a very intense focus to get this property under their umbrella. So part of what's next is seeing if we can make this thing happen now. Along with that, what we're doing, on top of making the book, we're just trying to create the brand Bitterroot. You know, we're just looking at what we can do to expand. We're going to be going to different universities. I think I mentioned this yesterday. We're going to be doing we're doing a historical black college tour. We're going to be touring all over pretty much the South to start with, because it seems to be like 80% of the black colleges are in the South, which is very interesting, you know, just thinking about the demographic of that. But we're going to be doing that in the spring. Me personally, what's next in outside of Bitterroot, I'm actually working on, I think I can announce this also. I'm working on something with a guy that has a cape and a cow pretty soon. Some of you guys may not know. If you know what the he's smiling.
I want to hear more.
Cape and a cow.
What's a cow?
I know, right? It's for the property for DC Comics. So I'm working over there. Actually, even more specifically, Warner Brothers. So I'm working with that character specifically. Doing some design work for a new thing, whatever that thing is. And let's see, I'm also designing, okay, I'll just say this part. I'm working for Disney, designing a new game that's basically connected to everything connected to Disney. So you think about what Disney owns right now, I'm working on that as well. So,
and you know, in my realm of video games, we're gonna talk.
But yeah, I mean, and I do a lot of that kind of stuff. I had the honor of working with Sony with the Spider-Verse movie. I did some of the early development for the Miles Morales character, and so that's something that I love doing outside of the comic realm, because it just helps to kind of break up. Sometimes you can get caught up in just kind of that you can get into a lull with doing one thing for a long period of time, and you can lose steam and energy. And that's something that I try not to get in that trap, if you will, so that I break it up so that I can have a fresh, energetic look at everything that I touch. So when I go back to Bitterroot, which will be really soon, I got this fresh, you know, focus, so that I can really put everything into that.
Now, Chuck, you got something on the horizon too. A little bit of something new?
Yes, I do. I have it's not been announced yet. I have a book coming out through Image.
We're putting out all kinds of stuff that's under contract that we shouldn't be talking about right now. I had no idea this man was about talking about all our secrets. That's, hey,
I signed the contract yesterday, but it's another book through Image. It's going to be a miniseries. I can't tell you, Mr. Greene, we're doing connecting covers for the book. What can I say? It's kind of like
it's a fun book. It's a comic book.
It's a comic book. Lots of action.
It has art in it.
Reflection.
Words.
That's reality?
Not quite. Let's just say it's politics meets gladiators. You know, something along those lines.
So she's ready.
It's all me up now. So we'll be announcing that around October or so.
Well, it sounds like some great stuff from you guys. I'm really happy for all the success, especially from Bitterroot. It's been an amazing book, and can't wait to keep going on with the journey of the story that you guys are going to create. And of course, how pretty it looks too. So I'm actually going to open it up to you guys on the floor. If you guys have any questions about anything, maybe you guys can try and get more information from them than I can. But I'm going to open it up to you guys.
Like, we gave you all we can give you right now on that anyway. No spoilers.
Well, I got a question.
Yes, sir.
So, I like that. He stood up and everything, man. That's right. He already set the bar.
So nowadays, digital comics has become pretty much the transition where the industry is going. You have your physical, you have your digital. But the biggest challenge is that what you used to have in the store, you had that community, you had that camaraderie, you go into the store. And years ago, you know, I knew Chuck from a couple of jobs back, so he told me about the True series that came out. I was like, oh wow, it's a great series, you go out and get it. In the digital realm, you know, by definition, you don't have that. So what are your thoughts on some ways to bridge that gap? It might help with what we discussed yesterday in terms of getting more folks involved in it. There's some way to have like a digital comic hub where you can kind of interact and get some recommendations, some thoughts, or rub shoulders with someone that says, oh, this is a great series, or if you like this, you might like that. What are your thoughts on trying to move something along that, in that direction?
I mean, basically what you said, that's like, the key word is community. I mean, if there's someone that's really based in the digital realm, like you travel a lot, you like your comics digital, you can even start like a Facebook group or something, like, you know, indie digital comics, you know, that kind of thing.
Excuse me, making a note to make an app for that.
Right. But it's
mental.
So, I mean, it's really hard to say. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, when you come to a con and you see them, all you can do is buy them. You know, you see them, you can buy the physical copy, and then you go home and get a digital copy. You know, I don't know, it's really hard to kind of bridge that gap, but in a digital world, things are really changing because things like comicsology, they will, you know, do the rotating banner of Batman, Spider-Man, but they may not do on the Bitterroot, you know. But if you go to Image itself, their website, they may have a banner of Bitterroot promoted. It's pretty hard.
Well, to say, I think their Image has this initiative with libraries, which is really interesting because libraries is very much the traditional, they're before comic book stores, right? They're the original comic book store, if you will. That's where that's where we all read pulp, you know, fiction or whatever from libraries growing up. Then comic books came along and just kind of blew the doors open, right? So they're trying to, they're kind of using that same format from a digital aspect. So they have this digital library where you go in and they will bring in, it's kind of like a digital Comic-Con, because we were part of it. I don't know if it was me and David, we were a part of this digital meet and greet with all of these librarians from all over the country. Digital comic. And then they will go into all of their constituents, you know, the folks that attended or were part of, whether it's schools or public library or what have you, they will go back to their constituents, because it's Sunday, so I'm tired, sorry. And they would, you know, basically share what they've learned or, you know, their interactions with, you know, the creators. And it's interesting because I thought, okay, that's kind of you know, it's new, it's a new thing, right? So I wasn't really used to talking to someone or a handful of people, and then you talk for like 10, 15 minutes and you move to the next group and you know, and so on and so forth. But long story short, I went to ALA, which is the American Librarian, the national one in DC, earlier this month, about a month ago, and 90% of the people that came up to our booth were from that community, from that digital meet and greet. So they already were familiar with our content. They had already bought the content, and you know, now you have this connectivity there. So I mean, things are happening, and I guess the thing is, it needs to be more of it, I would think. You know, just something that like a Facebook group or something like that. You know, and I'm pretty sure honestly, there are things out there like that. It just needs to be even more aware and broader.
I think comicsology has the feature where, you know, if you're buying a lot of indie comics, they'll be like, I recommend recommendations for you. So I know, like, if you buy more, maybe it would like show up more in your I guess in your queue, I guess you would say. But it's really, I guess comicsology is a corporation, and they're gonna promote what sells the most. So really, it's up to the individual to go out there and seek out those hard to find comics. I have a comic on there now from like 10 years ago. No one's never going to see it unless I say, hey, go
I found it, by the way.
Oh, you found it? Nice. See? That'd be smart of you. That would have been. So yeah. I hope that helps answer your question a little bit.
Yeah, especially it's going to be in social media around a finite community, especially through the new program. Discord is the new hotness right now, especially in video gaming. There's Discords out there for everything now, and I'm actually probably wouldn't mind taking this up. So you can also go to your comic book store as well and help them out create that online community. So you love that community while going to the store, you can have that same experience on their website, and they can just create a group, just call it this is the Hawkman group, this is the Iron Man group, and multiple groups can go in there, have a community. You can try and build that within your comic book store through their online presence, which is just old school meeting new school and just trying to find that middle ground.
Okay, you just hit the magic word. You said old school. We're going to talk about the elephant in the room right now when it comes to these comic stores. I'm sorry if you're a comic store owner or if you are enthusiastic about the brick and mortar, that's fine. But let's just call it what it is. It is a dinosaur, okay? How many of you go to a comic book store weekly? Okay, so what store is that?
It's Galactic Quest out in Georgia.
Okay, so the Galactic Quest, which that is one of the stores actually that's funny you say that, because they are starting to tap into, okay, what are these kids into right now?
Mm-hmm.
They don't go to the comic book store every day. I know this young lady right here, I see her a lot. I can guarantee you, I know she goes to the library because I saw you guys at the library before, right? So you got that, there's a bridge right there. That's why the libraries, they're tuning in. They're like, okay, we still got these kids' attention. Part of it is because they have to be there, right? For the same, but some, they love to be there. Like, you know, she's one of the rare ones, right? Who loves to be in the library all the time. But how do you get what we do in her hands? How do you get her to see this thing the way that someone of our age sees it? And you have to be able to connect. So the retailers, the traditional brick and mortar stores, comic stores, there's just not a whole lot of them that are willing to go that far for them. They kind of stay in their box, and you have to just find them, you search them out. When we brought out Bitterroot, just being honest, we had a lot of support, but then there were a handful that they were supportive overall. But our book was something that was new and fresh in this industry, that the traditional Caucasian male hero is kind of the dominant, image. That's who they cater to. That's the demographic overall. So here comes our book with our creative background, and now you're bringing in this whole new audience. For the most part, you still got, the hardcore. There's a lot of us that are very much in, we're all about brick and mortar, but there are others who saw this thing. Oh, what's this? Black creators doing black content? Oh, where can I get that? 9 times out of 10, people thought they had to buy it from us. They didn't even know comic book stores were out there. Oh, go to this store. Well, I went to the store and it wasn't there. They sold out. How can I get it? Oh, you have to fill out this order form. And they're like, what? I can't just go online and, over and over and over. The question was, how can I get this content? I can't find it anywhere because it either sold out or they kind of lose. It's all about, I call it the Amazon syndrome, where you go to Amazon, you just click, you see the image, I like that, click, and you order it and you got it. And it's starting to happen within this industry, but it's not where it really needs to be, especially for someone who doesn't go to tradition. They're not a traditional comic store, participant, right? So that right there is probably the biggest. That's the elephant in the room. They have these retreats all the time, brick and mortar stores, and I've been to a few, and I will sit there and I'm just beating my head against the wall, saying you guys are meeting, and you're talking about the same audience over and over and over, and you will kind of throw in there, you want to reach, a wider audience, but you don't really follow through with that because you kind of fall back into that safe zone, and let's just be real. You got to keep the lights on. If I own a store, that's the other caveat to it. If I own a store and I see Batman come out the same week as Bitterroot, which one am I going to buy that I know I'm going to sell? Right? So what do we have to do? Because they're not going to necessarily make sure that we get a new audience in front of this book. We're going to have to be the champions of it. And, you know, that's fair because, you know, it's our thing, right? It's like having your own child. You know, you're going to make sure you're the biggest champion for your kid. No one else is going to take care of your kid quite like how you would, right? I would hope.
It's like a splitted system. You have the brick and mortar, Amazon, Comixology, and no one's really coming together to make it profitable or prosperous for the creators and actual books. You know, you got Diamond that's an actual.
Yeah, but the college and how you can poster, and what he'll do is he'll get your poster first because you're brand new, he loves it.
Right.
Then he'll put Batman next to you or between two others, and when the people see the Batman, they'll be drawn to yours, they'll see that, and all of a sudden, because yours is in the middle, they'll go to the middle. I was thinking that.
Right.
Yours.
Right. And you know, honestly, that's something that's great too. And don't get me wrong, we've gotten tremendous support all over the country from the brick and mortar stores. But the system is what kind of makes it hard. It's like going, you know, uphill. It's this tidal wave, right? You're going uphill against all of this stuff that has been set in place since the inception of this industry. It's all about, you know, this mainstream, you know, traditional, you know, characters that, you know, let's just be honest, we grew up, those are the characters that we love, the characters before that, you know, and so on and so forth, and those are the same characters. They're still the same. So when you do make a change, right, you get this weird backlash, which, okay, I'm gonna say something else a little, I don't know if it's controversial, I'll just say that, I kind of agree with that. It's like, why would you make a certain character a woman or black or whatever, when you can just make that character, make a new character like that? Why do you have to kind of reinvent the wheel? Let that character be that character, but let another character come along and build that character up. Why? There's various reasons. Ultimately, I think it's because it's inconvenient. It takes a little bit of work.
Like
Right.
in the University of South Carolina, musicians there, they always come and write stuff that people expect to hear. I always write stuff people don't expect to hear.
Right.
And I'm trying to get myself to write stuff that people expect to hear. I like the stuff I write.
Right.
People are, it's true, people expect
Right.
that reality. And they're not trained to be surprised with the unexpected.
Right. So they kind of trained almost.
They're almost trained
Right.
somebody that's trained them.
Right. It's the same thing with TV, any kind of entertainment. Radio, you hear the same 10 songs every hour, right? That's why I don't listen to mainstream radio anymore, because you can't, you know, it's just a box that you're in and you kind of break out of it.
So how hard is it to actually put out a story IP from start to finish? How hard?
All right,
It's
so
different.
So because of all of the stuff we said, it's extremely hard, right? But we also know that, all right, so
Well, there's different levels, you know, I mean, all it starts with an idea. You know, you get your story, you make sure it's a quality story, you team up with an artist, and you create it, and you can go to a website right now and print your 10 copies, get you a table at a time, and your IP is out there, you know. To get to a certain level, yeah, it can be hard to get in every store across the country, but to get started and get off the ground, it's not really that hard. You just have to put the work in and work hard. You can make it happen,
right?
You know, but to get to a certain level, yes, it can be extremely difficult. But to get started and to be a creator and be a writer and be an artist, all you just got to do is wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to do it and be consistent every day.
Right. I think part of our journey, you know, like Chuck said, is different levels. So you got that level, and then you got this other thing that we're in right now. I think we're in a unique space, right? We're in a space right now where we're on the shelves with, like the lady said here, with Batman, with X-Men, we're on the same shelf. So when you know, but you know, of course we know we also have to work twice as hard because we're on the same shelf with Batman, and you know. And they think, in a way, I shouldn't say they think, but I think in a weird way, though, it is this thing where it's like, okay, now we're on this level. Is that the ceiling? You know? Oh, so we made it this far. We're at least mentioned in the same breath as these other comics, but we're right. And that's the thing. We're trying to. That's the challenge for us. It's like we got to keep pushing past this because we almost expect the system. We just call it that. Expects you to be okay. Well, you made it this far. That's good. You know. Now going back and do some mainstream stuff. And it's like, how do you keep fighting against that to show that, no, there needs to be more content out here, original, that is going to be on the same levels as far as storytelling, quality, everything. Like the last time anything was on that level, just take a wild guess, where you had new characters with the new diverse characters on that same level as a Marvel DC characters. Just take a guess. The last time that happened was this company called Milestone, 25 years ago. So you mean to tell me it's taken 25, close to 30 years for anything else to come out to be able to be in the same space as those characters? It's very sobering when you think about that. But again, that system is what makes you, because it's very easy, it's very comfortable for me anyway. I could stay at Marvel and work on Black Panther and all this, which would be awesome. But then that becomes a ceiling, you know, because all you got is that. But we're like, okay, now's the time. We want more than just that. That's great, but what else you got?
It's funny that you mentioned the elephant in the room. I was around in collecting comics in the 90s and took those out. And back in the 70s, early 80s, comic books became books when the library came out because some orders came out right before the film. And that's when comic books were actually stapled as books, because before then they had Batman 66, they had Spider-Man 68, 72, 74. All of them, some of them didn't even recognize that as being a comic book.
Right.
But then it appeared as a comic strip, it was not considered a comic book. It didn't actually exist. But all the content was already out of television. So the television took a nosedive. That's when Milestone came in, because comic books were desperate.
Right.
DC and Marvel was about to go bankrupt.
Yeah.
With the animation series, Spider-Man and Amazing Friends and other stuff they were.
Hang on real quick. I know you guys might not be able to hear him in the back. He's dropping some serious jewels right now. I feel like you need to get this microphone and break it down for us.
But comic books took a nosedive in the 90s, right around the time of Todd McFarlane and Frank Miller.
Right.
They kind of crumbled the line of vision.
Yeah.
But the money wasn't coming in because nobody saw comic books as a viable interest people. They sold Underwood, they had Savage on the comic book.
Right, it's all about, right.
So you take this entire industry that's about to flop, because there's really no names in DC Comics. There's only Stan Lee and Marvel. But you got Harvey Comics, you got Carlton, you got other comic books that are still putting it in for people to buy them, but the entire group of people that are underground. It goes back to how do libraries and other places get people to get forums where people who are comic book worthy or comic book literate will collect comic books, but will always seem to be the nerd, the person who should be on fire. And they're trying to bring the mainstream when they start doing all the motion pictures and films.
Right.
That lady came out and they kind of pushed the motion picture market in the
Right.
direction of going mainstream. So what happens is the disparity comes between us and the people who sit on the opposite side looking at it. They see people in costumes, want to be comic book characters, want to comic book conventions, want to cosplay cons, etc. So there's still a disparity. It's similar to black and white. You see the difference, instead of seeing the similarity, these are the exact same people that you go to get a hamburger, you come to get your car. The same people you watch on television, if they become a comic book character like Chadwick Boseman was on soap opera long before he became Thurgood Marshall,
Right.
Jackie Robinson, James Brown. When he became more iconic to everybody when he became a comic book character.
Right.
Not because he was a better actor, just because he was portrayed better than anything had already been on the screen before that.
Right.
It came into a level of when George Lucas came out, he did CHS with the hologram scenes. Nobody cared. And all of a sudden, Star Wars comes out, and drive-ins are in business. It's the biggest thing ever.
Right.
And people started getting sci-fi more. So now that comic books are coming to the mainstream, they're going to start to swing to the left to where it's like, okay, this is viable, that's business.
Right.
And this is where it's best for people to say, okay, well, I'm going to do it. This is like the best time because the window's open. And when it comes to brick and mortar versus the IP address is going to win all the time because I can get to the IP address before I can get to the brick and mortar address.
Right. Yeah.
A lot of comic book stores are still stuck in the Stone Age because most of them survived the turbulent 90s when you could see Frank Miller and Todd McFarlane at the same store at the same time. And they would be at the same convention with Butch Guice and Chris Claremont and Paul Smith and all these big names. A huge man, George Perez, was always in Charlotte.
Right.
Butch Guice was always in Charlotte. It was not uncommon to see Todd McFarlane. It was not uncommon to see Jack Kirby and Stan Lee at Heroes in the 90s when I was a young guy collecting comic books because the industry just put them there.
Right.
But when San Diego got bigger, it became more about the extra stuff beyond the pages and the writers and the artists. People started to focus because the industry came in and it was like the 5 companies or 5 families that own every business in the United States.
Right.
They came
Disney,
and said, well, we'll put some money in here and we'll help keep you guys going,
right.
but you got to play by our rules.
Yeah.
Of course, that becomes a control factor.
Yeah.
So if you dial it back to where we are now in modern times in the information society, the consumer has the right to pull the trigger.
Right.
Because if I put my comic book on Facebook and my friends share it to their friends and their friends share it to their friends, tell a phone, tell a friend, and tell them to do the same thing, then I can make money.
Right.
So we put all that information together. The comic book industry in itself is as viable as the people who spend the time to push it forward.
Right.
Because every company can come in and buy you for $1 million and sell you back to you and to your family and friends for less money. But if you put it out front for everybody else, you know the concept better than anybody else.
Right.
So it works that way. And as far as comic book stores being stuck in the dinosaur, I never did. I go to a comic book store to pick up what I can't get online because it becomes a hassle. Sometimes you see something online, it's 5 times more than what it's costing a comic book store. And I remember a subscription. So I'll just tell them at the comic book store, if you hold it for me, Saturday I'll come and pick it up. And I'll go pick it up so I can get it that way. But for the newer generation, the millennials, they want a microwave society on instant gratification. So for them, if you want to make their money, you got to sell them $1.99 digital.
Exactly.
Digital. But they may not really ever care about a paper comic. They may smell it. I lost my first comic book collection because my mom can't stand the smell in my room.
Right.
So I understand that part of it too. But if those companies don't catch up, like in the United States period, I'm a business type guy. There's only like one company that was started that's still here as part of it. Small company. One of the first companies that was started is one of the only companies that's still here. Comic book stores have to be aware of the fact that if you can't get the foot traffic, you don't create the visual traffic, you will get not enough traffic to keep the lights on and pay somebody to come in here and talk a conversation about comic books and sales.
Right.
So I look at a lot of different sites around the country. They don't have it. They don't have a forum, they don't have a blog, they don't have any content about how a person who just found out about comic books, your friend has on Facebook, can find out what you have in your store. I might not go across town because when I look on the website, there's nothing. So the website is not as viable as the storefront. When it comes to storefront, that millions of receivers, 1,000 people that pass the store every day that never come inside, in and out all day. Beyond the posters and the occasional people coming out of the door, they have no reason to come to that store, period. Because I can realize myself, I'm just a comic book. I spend my grass cutting money, my newspaper money to go to Heroes Convention at Eastern Mall, or when I moved to Atlanta to Fantasy Comics. I was always there, whatever money I had went there. So I'm from a different cloth. Nowadays, you want to get people into the store, libraries as well. They don't carry comic books, they're just a whole market. When I was in college, I got my degree, we did a panel on overhauling the game.
No, that's a whole thing right there.
And what we told them was, when I'm driving Grand Theft Auto, I don't drink soda coke. Every time I pass a sign for an advertisement, it's not a real product. So after that, they start putting real products in games. They start getting people who real music, all the music inside.
Right.
You can't keep a person's attention that long. And Netflix got on the gaming console, the stay on gaming console because that entire demographic is being reached on old video consoles.
Right.
People who play video games for 12, 14 hours a day did not go to the store.
Right.
If they did it when regularly they got the single bar in the room from when they were paying attention to that kind of stuff, they left the store. They didn't pay attention to anything other than that. So you miss a whole demographic.
Right.
Comic book stores and these companies do not look for a wider demographic like it's a comic. If you don't look for a wider demographic, you don't get the money.
Right.
In the day, you're a company that says, you just want to get the money. You want to get the existing service.
Right.
Once you start narrowing down the demographic, that's why I always talk in. If you don't go for a wider demographic, you don't get more footsteps. And in business, they say direct business is better than net business. Now, when you're trying to sell something, you go to the website that you can possibly get.
Right.
You can sell you possibly. So you have to go into a wider audience.
Right.
And a lot of places don't want to do it. So as far as creators, you stay open-minded to get a wider demographic. That's why it isn't about so many products.
Right.
They have a wider demographic.
And you know, and that's I mean, you said we had like at least that's 3 hours of great conversation. You just talked about it in 5. I mean, yeah, no, right? You come up here because I mean, he's a friend of mine, so we have these conversations quite often. But that's part of why we're doing what we're doing with our book, because we know that we're using every advantage that we have. Me working at Marvel, David working at Marvel, we know that, okay, that's our audience as far as that mainstream audience, right, for the comic. Because they're familiar with what we did over at Marvel, we're gonna pull them in, you know. So he's coming from an independent side. He's got an audience, pull them in. Then we all have just the unique demographic of telling, you know, a story about a family of color. You know, we're not shy about, we're intentional in showing that, hey, this is all black creative team. That right there, we don't even have to really say that, because the narrative is set. So when people see these things, now you got that demographic, because that's the demographic that wants this content. They don't go to the stores though, so how are you gonna get this stuff to them? You know, we're basically going to them. We're going to the historical black colleges. We're going to other universities. We're doing these panels. We're doing these other conventions. And now we're, in a weird kind of way, we're doing what the brick and mortar should be doing on some level, because we're championing. And when they say, hey, where else can if they want another issue of what we're doing, or the next issue, we will say, oh, where do you live? Oh, I live in North Carolina. Well, you know, Charlotte, here's a store. The name of the store shows on hard to find. And we're like advertising for it. You know, sometimes we even call the stores ahead. You know, if we're out in some area, it could be in Portland, Oregon. You know, if we're out there, we'll, you know, make connections. We've already made some connections with stores and say, we're going to be out here, come to the store and do a signing. You know, and that's kind of, in a way, it's not necessarily the way that I would like to do it per se, but it would be great to not have to do so much legwork. But again, it's sweat equity. It's just like anything, any business, you have to put in that work. And you know, the return, if you put in that type of work, the return should be just as great or even greater.
There's a certain stigma, I guess, in comics. I was talking to my wife. She imagined, you know, back in the day, all comic book guys was like the guy from The Simpsons, you know, the comic book guy that's rude to everybody and doesn't want to sell his comics and, you know, doesn't want to treat anybody with respect. But I think the key is the demographics, to reaching that wider audience. And because honestly, if you get your average person into the comic book store, there's a story for everyone. And I think that's what's special about the really quite kind of that our stories and our content is speaking to something about what's going on in our lives today, you know, what's going on in our world today. And Batman and Spider-Man and all those comics, they're doing the same thing. But, you know, they've been attached to Saturday morning cartoons, and they're just considered as kid stuff. And what he says, when we go out and we talk about our book and tell us what it's about, we get people that have never touched a comic book before to pick up that book and buy it and love it. And then the question is, how do you get these stores to understand that? Not even just stores, comics, and all of them, that understand that there's a huge audience out there. Right. Comics, how to get over that hump of the stigma that is just for kids. It's, you know, it's for those people that come and dress up, and that's what it is. Right. It's an age-old question. It's a huge challenge, and I have no idea. And the answer is the answer is like it's like you have the answer.
The answer is it's really evolution in my it is what it is. Over time, let it happen, let it take its course. because it's the inevitable of where those things go. We're seeing it now in some of the brick and mortars where they're.
But the evolution of the brick and mortars, you know, dying out, and that's something I don't want to see.
I don't want to see it either. No, I mean, but you know, it goes back to their generation. Do they care if they die? They don't even know what they are anyway.
Yeah,
so
right.
the fact that it's gone doesn't really make a whole lot of difference to them. So if those brick and mortars care, they will do what they need to do. That's the bottom line.
Does Comic-Con, can they provide me a list of the brick and mortar comic book stores in this area?
Oh yeah, actually, absolutely.
I can actually list them all.
And that's
on one hand.
this 1-800 comic book. There's a website you can go to.
That gives you everything in the entire country.
Yeah,
That's your homework, guys. Your homework is to call every comic book store in the country and let them know that Carrie bit a root.
that's your homework. It's 1-800 comic.
Actually, that's your work before you leave this class. Do it all before you leave.
There's comic book locator too. Comic book locator. That's the website.
Comic book
Comic book locator.
Yeah. Oh, you go.
You got two demographics that you're working with now. You got my age demographic. Because what happened in the 90s is I developed responsibilities. And I had to choose. Do I continue with this or do I stick with my responsibilities so that I fit? And I'm now past an era of where I've done my responsibilities and I'm a little bit more well established. But my interest is brick and mortar. I don't go to comicsology or anything like that. I've seen it, I've kind of worked with it. I like to feel and touch the paper. But you got to help get people like me to bridge it over to the youth. And it's that little tricky thing of how do you get me educated enough to let them know that there's both platforms, their chosen platform, which is going to be the digital platform, versus my chosen. I've done the research. Yeah, sure. On one hand, you can count the logos. You know, there's some ways to make it fair.
Right. We did a web series on this platform from Webtoons, and you guys probably heard of Webtoons. The younger generation, that's the comic book store now, for the most part. If you want to call it that. That's the hub, and even on that platform, our story wasn't necessarily the demographic, the story for that demographic. They like young, they like funny, romantic, semi-violent stuff, like comedy violence. It's not like violent violence.
So just silly day-to-day,
slice of life
type stuff. I mean, Sanford would draw these beautiful panels, full color. You may get like what, 20,000, 30,000 likes.
But you think about even in that, like 20,000 to 50,000, right? Views, streams, if you want to call it that, from the music side of things. That you translate that to the comic book market, that would be like gangbusters. That's not even a drop, that's a drop in the bucket from that side of things. 3 million, 4 million, 10 million is the average for like the really popular ones on this platform, right? And it's like, that's when I started to understand that, even in that world, like certain stories, they're not even looking for that story, not those kind of stories, not the superhero, traditional kind of stories. They're looking for something that's going to play into where they're at that time period. Because when we were growing up, that's what we were into. We were into the superheroes. These kids today aren't into that. So you have to even, it's not even just about getting them interested in the industry. It's got to be the right stories to go along with that.
I mean, there were black and white, almost stick figure comics that had like millions of likes. And they have a huge following. A lot of
that's something that we
Korea, a lot of Korean viewers, I think, use Webtoons a lot.
That's what I was going to say. It's like Webtoons.
Yeah. And it's free.
Yep. 8% people that don't live in the United States.
Yeah.
That's another thing to make it on a subject of comics. Comics, for some reason, have been around since the 30s with the brand, the Disney eyeball contact with film, or it's American, it's not really like
Right.
like football, baseball, basketball,
Right.
anything else. There's no documentation. But the people who like comic books that have been around for a while, who have run comic, haven't come together and said, well, here's an encyclopedia of comic books online like Wikipedia, so you can get all the information. So when a parent wants to explain to a child, this is what I did as a kid, and this is how long it's been around. You know, and you go to comicbooks.com and they'll tell you pretty much all the characters I know about and the ones that I don't know about.
Yeah, we're the source material for mostly Hollywood. You know, it's comic books. You know, a lot of the movies you see don't even look like they go into tradition. Comic book. You know, most people even realize that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And that's the thing. That's kind of the what's the word? I don't know if the word. It's so it's the biggest. Our genre is the biggest genre on the planet, and yet we're talking about how to get eyeballs on the biggest thing on the planet. You see what I'm saying? It's just such an oxymoron. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like
there are more Schwarzenegger movies. There are Avenger movies. You know what I mean? We are the new action movie.
It's like the Avengers is the highest grossing film in history, right? And the book, more than likely, will not be touched by this generation. They don't buy it. But they went to the movies, obviously, and they know all the characters. And so it's that's part of that evolution. And that's the scary part for a lot of the brick and mortars, because it's like, it ain't crossing over. Part of it is that they got to do the work, right, to make it cross over. I even just the idea of like, why isn't there a comic book vendor at every, especially when it's the debut of a film, right there at the door, as you walk in, you've got a comic book, it's a pop-up shop. I mean, they've got pop-up shops, that's a really popular thing right now. Do a pop-up shop right there in the movie theater. Sometimes they do that, but not it should be like a regular thing.
Get on that.
Get down. Right. Yeah, they do some giveaways, but it's not necessary. It's not, you know what I mean? It's like you gotta make it right. You want to make sure that you can translate, you know, into going back into the brick and mortars. Yeah, I can give away a million things, you know. Like this con is great. Does it really translate to the brick and mortar? I doubt it. Right. Right.
Even the exhibitor hall, I want to say locally, only Heroes and Dragons is here. I don't think Scratch and Spin's here, are they? Yeah, Scratch and Spin's.
All the local stores in this area, only one store is represented at this convention. Yeah, that's very sad. Right. You know, and then unfortunately there's a few of the stores that closed down in the last 2 or 3 years.
And it goes back to, you know, like you said, they got to keep the lights on, they got to keep paying the rent, and they got to think, oh, if I'm going to buy this booth for 2 days for this amount of money, or am I going to keep running my store? So that's something they got to think about, you know.
Right, and you know.
You got to capture the attention.
Right, I was at, and I'll share this one more story. Being at that conference with the Retailer Summit, I was at a dinner, and this representative from one of the big publishers, I'll give you a hint, it's only 2 of them, right? Pick from one or the other. And he was boasting about the variant cover. You guys are familiar with the variant cover thing, right? You know, we're guilty of it too. We do variant covers because we know that that's kind of how the industry kind of, you know, thrives off of that. Variant covers are these different variations of each issue. You know, cover 1 has 4 different types of covers, that kind of thing. So this person was super excited because he was on his phone and he was like, oh wow, we just got the next variant for this big issue of this title. And I asked the guy, well, how many variants do you guys have with this big title? Take a guess of how many variant covers.
10.
You might want to go up a little bit.
A million.
You might want to go up a little bit. Not that far. You might. That's closer than anyone else said. Who said? I heard 75. 75. And I said to him, I was joking, but I was serious. I said, "You're the problem." Because that's the problem. If your brick and mortar store, going back to your point, you want to keep the lights on, right, you're going to have to carry as many. So it becomes Quiet Cons the same week as
Batman.
You know, fill in the blank. You know, and you know, you got to make those decisions as a retailer. What's going to sell for you? And that's what happens. And they will keep doing it over and over. And why? You said it. You said it's in the retailers, it's in the consumer's hands. Because we keep going back to the stores. Those handful, not us per se, but there all goes. We'll go in and we'll buy every last one of those covers. Or try to. So they look at that and they see the bottom line. Oh, they sell it. Not the fact that they're selling to 10 people. They just see that they sell, right? That's not selling to 100,000 people. That's selling to 10 people. And that's all they care about. They sold. And so they're going to keep doing it. And, you know, you can't tell them you can't because it's making money, right? You definitely can't tell the brick and mortar stores, oh, skip that for this month and try out this new book that's only got the first issue out and, you know, it's a brand new character, and, you know, even if it's been out for several months, you know, you're going to have to, you know, make those decisions. It's a sad time. Everyone, hey, we want to talk about, you know, the depth of comics, man. I know, right? This is what's next. This is exactly what's next.
Those are real American graphics. It's not Japanese graphics. It's not Korean graphics.
Right.
South American graphics. When I looked at it's real American graphics. A lot of times I can identify with it.
Right.
And you want to identify you're American.
And that's the thing, even with what you're saying in Asia, if you will. I mean, they don't have this issue. They can sell comics, they sell millions of comics every week.
It's part of the culture.
It's part of the culture. But this, don't you think this is part of our culture? You just said it's American comics. It's part of our culture, but it's kind of jacked up. It was jacked up from the beginning. You know, it was messed up. Right.
Americans don't identify with it. They like it.
They don't have the same mindset or appreciation.
What they did was here. They got the one that animated this entire movie.
Yeah.
You're not considered something to rock and say like the people or nerds.
Right.
There's a term for that.
But I'm saying they made definitive lines here. It's like if you want to get on Mixing, because you went to social media networks, you have to get a referral. Here, you get a referral, but you might be in an all 6 weeks. So they make a stigmatism. People who knew I was an artist and I played comics when I was in school would stay in office because they got to walk across the mall to where the dude who does graffiti and draws comic books and does all that stuff and have a conversation with them, then they got to go back and do the job. So you got to walk out your life and go to speak to somebody who has been graduated in elementary school and walk back to your life. And you're not going to continue to walk back and forth in and out of your life just because you're friends with somebody. So you might just pick one side of the road. And it's done here that this is one side of the road, that's the other side of the road. I thought when I was in business that it's based on attraction versus promotion. A lot of people come to pick that up. So they make companies more attractive. They just make it attractive across the board. So it doesn't trickle all the way down to the brick and mortar stores, which is stupid because if it wasn't for a spinner rack, there wouldn't be a brick and mortar store.
Right.
The spinner rack was in somebody's grocery store.
Yeah, right.
And they made it to the 7-Eleven. And guys got enough comic books in the 70s to say, well, we can open a store in these. So him and his friend got a store open now, so when he goes to big business doesn't see the foundation that it's standing on.
Yeah.
They think the levitational device that they're using is what's going to substantiate them. And what happened is they'll figure, okay, here's life expectancy of comic books. After this last movie was made, go zero out. Then they go back to the big more source of people go to comic books.
Right. There you go, man. I think he summed it up.
Yeah.
Is to don't get in the comic book industry, go into real estate.
Don't try.
That's where own the comic book store, the place that the guy is renting. You own that building, then you're okay, you know. But no, in all seriousness, I think we say all this stuff, And again, we're in a very fortunate place to do what we're doing. I think because of society and culture and what's happening from a social standpoint, I'll use that word specifically, people are starving for something. They want to feel like they have some kind of place and a voice and a platform. And with those needs, we saw an opportunity. You know, truth be told, we saw Black Panther when it came out, and we knew once that hit, it's going back to, we just knew, understand, they saw the bottom line, and because they saw the bottom line, you know they're looking, right? But why not just go ahead and ride that wave? But when we ride it, we're riding it with a purpose, because our intention is to make sure that we're going to tell something that is going to make a difference. It's not a big money grab per se. This is just, you know what, the door is open, take advantage of it. And so that's our intention, and we're very fortunate for just the incredible feedback, in spite of all that other stuff we talked about.
Don't get us wrong, all the brick and mortars here locally have been insanely supportive.
Oh yeah.
Of Bitterroot and Quiet Kind and us.
So, and just having that support, not only from them, but just fans all over. Like I said, we travel all over the country. We get requests for all kinds of events. I mean, we can't even keep up with them right now, because what we're offering is not just, you know, a cool story. It has all these other layers to it that we know could really make, it is making a big difference. So, you know.
Give you your opinion, ask them in front of you. Tell us who's looking. What do you think of them right back to you?
Well, we have, you know, we don't have that yet, which is kind of a letters fan page. That's a pretty cool idea. Do something that's old, you know. Just take it, that's a little old school right there, and just give it back in that sense too, to get some of the fan appreciations. We do a lot of fan art. There are people that love to, you know, to see our characters, and they want to contribute, so we get them to do some art, and we'll put it in the book. Right. 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 Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, absolutely. So again, you know.
Well, that is our time, ladies and gentlemen, but we do have Quiet Kind up here with Chuck Brown. So if you guys want a copy or anything, you can get a nice little signature. He has a pretty signature.
Well, we're on the show floor here for the next 30 minutes with some copies of Bitterroot and some other items, prints and other cool stuff. So come by and check us out. Yes, and if you guys want pictures or a handshake or a hug, I don't know, we'll give Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Cut the chit chat and log on. We are the nerds. We are the nerds of the apocalypse. Yep, we are the nerds. We are the nerds. We are the nerds of the apocalypse. We are the nerds. We are the nerds of the apocalypse. We are the nerds. We are the nerds of the apocalypse. If it don't confuse the podcast.